Bonjour, bonsoir à tout le monde, dépendamment de qui l'heure vous regardez nous. Et non, moi c'est Ernst Robilla. Je dis à nous une chance pour nous rencontrer avec vous dans quelques que ITV a fait pour connaître candidat qui prend l'élection. Et nous avons une chance pour rencontrer avec Mr. Haccord James Curry Jr. Good morning, Mr. Haccord James Curry. So
good
morning. You are running for to become a judge in Broward County?
Yes, that's correct.
All right.
In circuit court.
Oh, circuit court. Okay. Can you tell us more about yourself?
I'm a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
I started out my legal career working in the Legal Aid Society of New York.
Okay.
And at 22, when I graduated from college, I began as a paralegal. Mm-hmm. And subsequently, 10 years later, somewhere in between that, I went to law school, St. John's in New York. One of the things that I quickly discovered visiting Rikers Island is that a vast majority of the people that were trapped in the correctional system were people like me. And so I sought a solution that I could uplift my community and help bridge the gap. So when I visited my father here, who was originally from Coconut Grove, when I graduated law school, I met another friend of mine's that was from the another friend of my father's who subsequently became a friend of mine's, that was from the Bahamian community as well. And for 6 months, I volunteered and went around and met judges and began to understand the juvenile justice system. It was a little time after that, I was hired as a probation officer, which I did for 4 years. As I mentioned earlier, I had went to law school in New York at St. John's, so I had already had my law degree. But as I am implying in my story, is I was a little disenchanted with the idea of being a lawyer, having experienced so much so early before I started practicing. And this is why I veered towards the juvenile justice system, because I wanted to help people.
Okay.
To make a long story short, I thought I would rise up in the ranks of the department as a administrator, and that didn't happen. So then I went back and relied on my legal expertise, took the bar, passed it, and they hired me as an attorney 1. 3 years later, I was appointed to a senior attorney position, and that was in 1996, and I've been practicing law with the department since. I cover Dade County. I cover Monroe County. I also cover Circuit 20, which is 5 counties over on the West Coast, Naples area, Fort Myers, Lee, Collier, Glades, Hendry, and Charlotte counties.
Okay. So, why are you running to become a judge?
After practicing law 22 years or 20 years, I'm ready. You know, when you take on this type of responsibility, you have to do it at the right season in your life.
Okay.
You have to have the appropriate wisdom. In addition to that, when I began looking at this whole issue of becoming a judge, and I did it, admittedly, I went through the JNC process. And I quickly realized that there were almost no black judges in Broward County. There are 6 black judges in all of Broward County, and there are 92 judge positions. Yet, the majority of the people caught up in the criminal justice system look like you and I.
Okay.
Closer to 70 or 80%. And this is not a new deal. This has been going on for a long time. Yet, you know, 20 years ago, we had 6 black judges in Broward. But 20 years ago, our population was under 20%. Now, 20 years later, we still have 6 black judges, and our populations are around 30%. We have the political muscle to change that, yet we haven't. Part of changing that is, you know, people from African descent are about 3% of the bar, I'm told, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And so those of us who are in position to run have to run if we're going to change that. We have to have representation in every stage of government commensurate with our presence in those communities.
Okay.
Justice demands that. So the justice we receive is the justice we deserve. We have to have people who have the courage to step up and take the responsibility and make people aware of what's going on in the community.
You're well aware, as you've been in the system, that the justice is not really favorable to disenfranchised communities. It's like you have like two justice systems for two different
It's been that way forever.
And so, how do you think you will be able to change that?
Two-pronged strategy. Okay. The first thing is you got to be there. We have to get representation commensurate with our numbers. Clearly, one more judge isn't going to change that. But you got to start somewhere. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. We never thought we would have a black president, but somebody had the faith to step out and do something about it. In the midst of a storm of resistance, we must persist in getting or moving towards equality in this society on every level.
Okay.
And the second thing is, the court system, like any other system, is a group of people who sit around and decide how justice is going to be meted out. The more people we have at that table, the more chance we have at changing the paradigm. We can't be discredited when we get into the system and things don't change overnight. But we have to have enough faith to start moving in the direction we want it to go in. And that's what I'm about.
Okay, the juvenile system, you know that there's a lot of problems. Especially boys have died while incarcerated. Girls have been physically abused while being under the care of the justice system. So, I mean, why is all that? And then the cover up that you know.
Let me first, in answering that question, let me first, in the interest of full disclosure, let me disclose to you that I'm the Assistant General Counsel for the Florida Department of Juvenile Justice.
Okay.
That means that I represent the Secretary of the Florida Department of Juvenile Justice.
Okay.
All the time. Not sometimes, all the time. The Secretary being my client, I can say with full honesty that it's never satisfactory when a child suffers abuse or dies in our custody. And that is not the goal or aim of the department. But when you have a large system, sometimes these things happen. And it is unfortunate because the majority of kids that are in the system are within the African diaspora that it happens to us.
Okay.
It shouldn't happen to any child. Let me tell you what's going on right now. Over the last 5 years, the residential population has gone from about 7,800 to about 3,800. This department has been moving from it to an evidence-based sentencing system.
Okay.
And as you know, when Secretary Wansley Waters was appointed, she was appointed with the specific mission of reducing residential commitments and implementing the ticket, you know, that program when you have the code compliance where they give you a ticket rather than incarcerate you. As a result of that, residential commitments have gone down significantly.
Okay. All right. Election is for August 30th. Give the viewers 3 reasons to vote for you.
It's their choice. It's in their hands whether they think that six black judges in Broward County is sufficient to represent their interests. It's in their hands whether they think that all of these prosecutors, being either elected or appointed positions, have the requisite experience, as opposed to me, someone who's focused on treatment programs. Because all of the people sitting around that table in the court system almost exclusively are trial attorneys. If you want to change the paradigm, you have to put somebody in there that thinks differently. Third, the journey of 1,000 miles has to start now. I'm the only African American in all of Broward County, or only person of African descent in all of Broward County running for circuit court. The only one.
All right.
It has to start with me.
Okay. All right, Mr. Haccord, James Curry, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
So good luck.
Thank you.
All right. Once again,
don't forget to vote.
my name is Ernst Robillard, and thank you for watching.